What size silver bar is the best to stack? That's the question that I asked in a poll I put out last week. And in this video, we're going to find out what all of you silver stackers had to say. And in this poll, I did also ask everyone to tell us why they think a particular size of silver bar is the best for stacking. And you guys left some great comments, so we're going to get into those as well. So let's get to it. $753 of you voted in last week's poll, so I do want to say a huge thank you to all of you who participated. I love to see what the silver stacking community has to say about these questions, and I really think that giving all of you stackers out there a voice with these polls can provide some really good information for all of us. Now, YouTube's polls are limited to 5 answers, so I tried to stick with the most common sizes of silver bars for this poll. And the possible answers were 1 ounce, 10 ounce, 1 kilogram, 100 ounce, and then also 1,000 ounce bars. Now, I don't have any 1,000 ounce bars to show you for the purposes of this video, so here's a picture of one, so you know what I'm talking about. But other than that, you'll just have to use your imaginations for that giant bar. And not that surprisingly, 1,000 ounce bars are coming in last place in this poll with just 3% of the vote. And I can't say I disagree with the results of the poll. I would say that the 1,000 ounce silver bars for 99.9% of stackers really are probably the worst kind of silver to stack, because 1,000 ounces is really heavy and it's just not a very divisible form of silver. Now, mind you, you can get a 1,000 ounce bar probably at spot at any given time. There's not going to be much premium with those. But you're talking about a bar that really is better suited for industrial applications than for investment or stacking. Unless you're just putting, millions of dollars into silver, I don't think there's any reason to be acquiring 1,000 ounce bars for your average stacker. They're just too cumbersome, they're too illiquid, and they're too heavy to move and difficult to store. Next up, with only 4% of the vote, is 100 ounce bars. I don't know. I guess I can understand why only 4% of you would vote for those. Certainly, if you were limited to only one type of bar, you probably wouldn't want to go with the 100 ounce bar. But I don't know. I think they have something going for them. The 100 ounce bars typically can be acquired for a very low premium relative to spot, certainly low relative to the premiums that you'll find on other silver bars, for example. They are a little less liquid. If you want to sell a 100 ounce silver bar, you've got to find somebody at the minimum who just wants to buy 100 ounces of silver. So certainly that is going to limit your pool of buyers somewhat. But the fact that you can acquire silver for so close to spot and for such a low premium, I think is an advantage of the 100 ounce bar. And 100 ounce bars are pretty cool. This one's an Engelhard, so these aren't made anymore. Engelhard was a bullion company that I think they went out of business back in the 80s or early 90s, so they haven't made bullion for some time. But there's a lot of these Engelhard bars out there. There's also some other really beautiful bars. The Royal Canadian Mint makes some really nice 100 ounce bars. And even though they're a little bit less liquid than the smaller denominations of bars, I do think that, if you've got 100 ounce silver bars, it's not going to be that hard for you to find a buyer. In the very worst case scenario, you could always sell one of these to a refiner or something like that. But I think probably, at least in today's market conditions, you wouldn't have a hard time finding buyers for 100 ounce silver bars, just retail investors. But anyway, moving on to the next bar, we've got kilogram bars with 8% of the vote. And as far as the perfect size silver bar, the kilogram might really have it, just in terms of how satisfying they are to hold, but they're also not so hefty that they're difficult to move around. A kilogram is pretty easy to pick up. Those are pretty stackable, pretty easy to stack together. Whereas when you get into a 100 ounce bar, honestly, this thing is a little bit unwieldy. I would not want to drop that on my foot or on my tile floor. I think that it could cause some significant damage to either one of those things. So the kilogram bar, I think, honestly, is a little bit more stackable than the 100 ounce bar, but still gives you quite a bit of silver in one package. So I'm kind of surprised that these only had 8% of the vote. Another nice thing about the kilo bar is that it's in metric. So, thinking in troy ounces can be a little bit cumbersome sometimes, I think, and I tend to think in troy ounces myself. I'm from the US, so metric doesn't really come naturally to me. So moving over to metric, I think there is something to be said for that. And as far as metric size bars, kilogram silver bars, I think, are probably the best way to go. It's a nice round number, 1,000 grams. And if you're thinking in gram prices of silver, it's real easy to figure out what one of these costs because you just have to move the decimal point. So that's definitely something going for the kilogram bars. Now, next up, we've got 1 ounce silver bars with 27% of the vote. And this 1 ounce silver bar here, this is actually my first ounce of silver that I ever had. And I've been carrying this thing around with me for decades. For a long time, I really didn't think anything of it. And honestly, I'm not even sure where I got it. I believe this was a gift from either a grandparent or a godparent or something like that when I was a real small child, and I've just kind of been hanging on to it ever since then. And I didn't give it any thought for the longest time. And later on I became a silver stacker, and at the time I didn't even really remember I had this. It was just sitting in a box somewhere in the closet. And then, I started stacking, and then I found this one day, and I thought, oh, look, an ounce of silver, my first ounce. And I really do wish that whoever had given this to me had kind of told me why silver was a good thing to acquire. So that's something to consider. I know it's not really on the topic of the video, but just as an aside, I know a lot of people out there like to give kids silver, maybe as Christmas gifts or birthday gifts. I'm sure that's how I got this one when I was a kid. If you're going to do that, take a minute to actually educate the kid that you're giving the silver to a little bit on why precious metals are good and why sound money is important. I mean, I'm very thankful that somebody gave me an ounce of silver as a nice gift. I just wish that, they had imparted some knowledge along with that. So something to consider if you're out there, maybe this holiday season, getting some 1 ounce silver bars or coins or what have you for younger people for Christmas gifts. Consider telling them about silver as well and not just giving them the precious metal. And, 1 ounce bars of silver, they've got a lot going for them too. Obviously, the most divisible silver bar that we've got on the list, so there's something to be said for that. If you've got to do some kind of bartering or something along those lines with your silver, a 1 ounce bar is going to work probably the best out of all the options here. There's probably more varieties of 1 ounce silver bars as well, so if you're a collector who likes picking up silver with different patterns and different designs, 1 ounce silver bars are going to be great for you. The only downside really is that with 1 ounce silver bars, you're going to pay a bit more of a premium than you would with the larger bars. That's kind of how it works with the silver bars as a general rule. The smaller they are, the higher the premium is. And, also they're divisible and all those benefits as well. And they're probably more liquid than the larger bars. But as you move up to the bigger bars, the liquidity goes down, but the premium also declines. So you can get more ounces of silver for your money when it comes to the larger bars as opposed to these smaller 1 ounce bars. So everything's got pros and cons with silver bars. There's no one size fits all, but probably the closest we can get to a one size fits all bar is the 10 ounce silver bar. And this came in first place with 58% of the vote. So over half of the voters going for 10 ounce silver bars. And I can understand why. As you can see, I've got several different designs of 10 ounce silver bars here. And the reason I've got more designs of 10 ounce silver bars to show you than these other types is because these are my favorite also. And I think that the 10 ounce silver bar really provides a nice balance between divisibility and liquidity, and also getting a decent premium. Premiums on these, if you shop around, can typically be fairly low. They're higher now than they used to be. Just in general, physical bullion products, it seems like, are carrying a higher premium than they have in the past. But 10 ounce silver bars still, if you keep an eye out, if you look for the sales and the bargains and things like that with online dealers, or if you shop around at local coin shops, you should still be able to find these with at least a relatively low premium. Really, I think any coin shop you go to, any metal dealer, they're going to be willing to buy these as well, as are many retail investors. So I really don't think you'll have any difficulty when you go to sell these. I will say the 1 ounce silver bars, of course, are slightly more liquid than the 10 ounce bars, simply because current prices, if you have a 10 ounce silver bar and you want to sell it, you got to find somebody who's willing to spend at least, $250. Whereas with a 1 ounce silver bar, someone only has to be looking to buy $25 worth of silver. So of course there's going to be a larger pool of potential buyers for the 1 ounce bar, but I don't think it's a drastic difference or that significant. 10 ounce silver bars are still pretty affordable for your average stacker, and there's lots of different designs available. It's a very popular size bar. So if you're looking to pick up some silver bars, of course, none of this is financial advice or anything, but if you are shopping for silver bars, 10 ounces might be a good thing to take a look at. Now it's time to get into some of those comments for the video and see what you stackers had to say about your choice for the best size of silver bar. But before we do, if you're enjoying this video so far, please take just a moment to give it a big thumbs up down below, and while you're at it, why not subscribe to the channel and click that bell notification icon so you can see more videos like this in the future, and also so you can be the first to see when I post new polls like the one we're talking about today. And if you know someone who you think could benefit from this video, please send it their way. It helps spread the word about sound money and silver stacking, and I really appreciate it. Okay, let's get into those comments. Silver Scrounger says, the answer to that question is going to completely depend on each individual situation and their own stacking preferences, but a generic all-around answer is most likely 10 troy ounce bars to help lower the premium a bit from 1 ounce bars would have, but also be easier to offload than a 100 ounce or 1 kilo bar. Yeah, and I agree with Silver Scrounger completely. I do think that, although everybody's situation is different, it all depends on how much you're trying to stack and how you're going to store it and how liquid you need to be with your investment. So definitely agree that everybody's situation is different, and the answer for this question will depend on the individual, but 10 ounce bars really do provide that nice balance for the vast majority of stackers. William Gardner says, I believe 10 ounce bars for wealth preservation and growth, 1 ounce or less for bartering purposes or quick liquidity. So different types of bars maybe will fulfill different roles in your stack. And of course, you're not limited to one type. Maybe you want to have a certain amount of 1 ounce bars so that you have that liquidity if you do need to sell on short notice. And then a larger portion of your stack could be made up of, bigger, less liquid bars so that you can get more silver for your money. It's all going to depend on your individual silver strategy. I definitely agree that the 1 ounce bars are probably going to be the best for, bartering or just quick liquidation. And then 10 ounce could make up the bulk of your stack. I'm pretty sure that as far as bars go, the 10 ounce bars, I've got more weight in them than any other size. Michael P says, I stack kilogram bars mainly, but have all sorts of sizes. That way, if I need to use it, I can, but I am concentrating on preservation versus bartering at this point. Once I have a certain amount saved, I will change, but any amount is better than nothing. Okay, Michael, well, it sounds like you have a good silver stacking strategy. Clean Money says, 10 ounce because it's easier to buy and sell. Everyone can afford it. So, as you guys can see, I'm sensing a trend here among the commenters, and I can see why the 10 ounce bars came in first place. Matthew King also says, I like the 10 ounce bars for the convenient size and shape. It's easier to store than 10 rounds, but I won't be picky if some are given to me. Yeah, 10 ounce bars do stack up pretty nicely, especially if you get them all the same size, like these Scottsdale stackers, for example. Those store very, very neatly because they're machined to stack up with one another. But of course, yeah, I would not be picky about free silver either, Matthew. Anybody wants to send some silver to me, I don't care what size. Good Morning Venezuela says, 1 ounce bars are most liquid. Not everyone has or wants a $500 silver bar when or if silver goes that high again. Yeah, and if you're concerned about having a hard time selling your silver, then you probably want to stick to something like the 1 ounce bars. Although, if silver does go to $50 again, I don't think that you'll have a hard time finding buyers for 10 ounce bars. In fact, that'll probably be in some kind of a mania, especially if we shoot up to that price quickly. And I expect that with silver at $50, bars will probably be going for a nice premium to $500. Eli says, even though the 100 ounce bar has less premiums, the 10 ounce isn't as hard on the wallet, and the premiums are not too expensive. Yeah, again, 10 ounce bars, a nice balance. And if you're dollar cost averaging and you want to be making small purchases over time as opposed to just buying one big piece of silver in one chunk and just kind of throwing caution to the wind without dollar cost averaging, the 10 ounce bar is going to be the way to go because you can buy these incrementally and you can kind of stack over time, which I think is the right way to do it. And Don't Ask says 10 ounce. Easy math, move the decimal point. Super easy to sell regardless of what YouTube says. I don't know if there's people out there on YouTube saying 10 ounce bars are not liquid or they're going to be hard to sell, but I would agree. I don't think you're going to have a hard time finding a buyer for your 10 ounce bars. They're a nice, desirable weight, definitely. And they feel super good in the hand and yet still feel like a real piece of treasure. So 10 ounce bars have a very nice feel to them, and I think they have a lot going for them. So that is what all of you stackers out there had to say about what size of silver bar is the best for stacking. Again, I want to say a huge thank you to everyone who voted and left comments on the poll. If you didn't get a chance to vote, leave a comment down below and let us know what your favorite size of silver bar is. Thanks for watching, everyone. If you want a chance to vote in these polls that I'm putting out, make sure you're subscribed to the channel so that you see them as soon as I post them. And if you'd like to see more videos like this one where we hear what the silver stacking community has to say, then check out these videos right here. I will catch you next time. Happy stacking, everyone. Smart Silver Stacker, out.